This live stream is presented to you by MaxSpeed TV. All live streaming content that is presented in this telecast is owned by MaxSpeed TV, Rudy Cummings, and the entire crew of MSTV. This may not be rebroadcasted, retransmitted, and retelevised without written consent. Please enjoy today's broadcast.
And we welcome everybody back here live for tonight's iSCAR event, getting set to go green here just momentarily for the iSCAR DeNise Design Series at Bristol Motor Speedway. And what a way to kick it off here tonight, as we will crown a winner after 200 laps of racing at this half-mile racetrack. My name is Ezeckiel Reyes.
And I'm Dewey Schramm. The first two chase openers have been quite the interesting races, and I guess what better way to wrap up the weekend than at one of the most hectic tracks we go to, the last great Coliseum here in Bristol, Tennessee. So it's shaping up to be a pretty interesting one here tonight for the DeNise Design Series. Thank you guys very much for tuning in here for tonight's race. Just a couple moments left here in the practice session as these drivers try to get themselves situated here around this racetrack. Omar Diallo with the fastest lap so far is top two are wall laps, so quite a few cars close together as you look from third all the way through 20th, separated by just over a tenth of a second. So these guys are really, really close, and even half a tenth could separate you literally 10 spots.
Yep, that is right. We started the broadcast late, so we're going to just go ahead and scoot ourselves aside. We'll talk to you coming points and everything about once we do finish up the national anthem. Speaking of, go ahead and rise up and remove your hats as we salute our nation's colors. And we welcome everybody back here live for the iSCAR DeNise Design Series. Currently under qualifying as of right now, drivers taking their fastest two around the racetrack. And of course, we got to go ahead and pull up points and discuss about the situation of what these top 13 in this chase and slash playoff will do here for tonight. What a list here that we have. A lot of very competitive drivers for this iSCAR DeNise Design Series playoff.
Yeah, and this chase continues the trend we've seen all weekend, where even the drivers with bonus points are really not ahead of the rest of the chasers at all. Of course, the only bonus points given out are for wins and poles. So Hunter and Christopher Weil each have a win and a pole. Nick with a win, and then Carson and Liam with a pole each. And everybody else, of course, with just 5,000. So everybody that had a big points lead, that's all gone. So now with only 4 points separating the entire 13 chase car field, these guys are really going to have to be on their A game here tonight and next week to get themselves in the round of 10 and further.
Yep, that is right. And, you know, for those drivers who were consistent, like Cole Williams and Josh Patterson, of course, those top two came in as one of those people in the top 5. And with the big reset, unfortunately, they didn't pick up any wins nor poles. So they're going to be tied with everybody like Joe Berge, Malachi Drake, Harry Grindle, Garrett Hess, Ryan Kendrick, and William Schmidt. So for them, try to reset yourself and not get off here at Bristol on the wrong foot. So hopefully they could have a stable night like these first 13 races that allowed them to get that positioning and points. So they just got to be mindful and, you know, survive to the end here tonight.
Always interesting to see the 8-way tie in points. But we'll see who advances of those 8. About a minute and a half remaining here in qualifying. Brody Gardner in the 55 currently tops on the charts with a 15:139. Of course, with how fast these laps go by at Bristol, you could go out on track with about 35 seconds left and put 2 blazing laps down. So this is one of those qualifying sessions where it truly isn't over until it's over. So we'll see if that 55 lap stands or if somebody can get himself faster than him before the end of the session.
Yeah, it seems as though we're going to be skipping the LCQ. No need to fret about anybody being pulled into a last chance qualifier. So everybody in this session will be one of the various people to make a start and at least a lap on the A main here for tonight. So no worries about that. We'll go ahead and pull up standings. I mean, track statistics here on the right hand side of the screen. If you haven't been to Bristol Motor Speedway, well, probably one of the most popular NASCAR tracks on the NASCAR circuit IRL. This track, half mile in length, 4 turns, 1 in each corner, of course. Banking 22 to 24. It got reconfigured, I think, back in 2008, 2007-ish. Not really sure when it did, but when it got reconfigured, the banking shrunk a bit, which allowed what we see present-day racing here at Bristol, in which everybody just flinging it up on the high side and such like that. So it should be interesting to see on how it'll all go. 600 feet provided by both straightaways. 200 miles. I mean, not 200 miles. 200 laps. And 106.6 miles to be ran here for tonight. I forgot who the last winner was the last time we came here, but your points leader, Hunter Johnson, of course, with the big reset, he had a win on his resume, and he works himself to the top of the charts.
Yeah, I think before the reconfiguration, the banking was closer to 30 degrees, but of course they made it a bit less steep this time around. And yeah, this is the only chase that Hunter made, so, you know, of all the series that the 12 is going to go all out on, it's definitely going to be this one, even though, you know, he literally won the race last night at Richmond, so trying to go back-to-back here this weekend, and I believe that might be the second time he's done that this season. Of course, iSCAR's winningest driver trying to add another championship to that bountiful trophy case he has here in this league. Race analytics here on the bottom left of your screen, roughly half a mile in length here at Bristol, the afternoon to evening session time, so the track temp should decrease as the night goes on. 40 miles per hour for the pit speed, and this is one of those trickier pit roads to get onto, so if we end up with green flag pit stops, speeding penalties and missed pit roads are going to be something to watch for. 5 tire sets to manage over these next 200 laps, and 85 to 90 laps for the fuel window, so a two-stop race in that department.
Alright, pull up a bit of weather here on the bottom right. 83 temperature ambient wise. The track temp itself 86, but it should cool down as the night progresses. It might heat up as well, as of course a lot of drivers over at least 20-30 drivers over a small piece of pavement could of course heat up the racetrack and make it a bit slick out on the racetrack. That's right too. Rubber is going to be a factor in for the night. Of course, the more the track gets rubber, the more grippier it gets, and of course, more faster it gets, the more harder the track will get. So it's going to be interesting to see on how it'll all play out. In the meantime, with that, warm-up underway as drivers take their fastest ways around the racetrack and get last second tidbits in before this 200-mile event. I mean, not 200-mile event, 200-lap event starts.
Good old friction, of course, for heating the track up. But yeah, just a couple brief moments here. Get some maybe brake bias or something else, or steering ratio. Not a whole lot you can change with a fixed setup, but might as well get some last second stuff in if you didn't quite feel like you really had the track nailed down and practice and qualifying. Basically, a last chance to say, hey, you know what? If I can try to get this situated before the race starts, that would be ideal. So we'll see if any major changes occur here, but looks like it's mostly just going to be a wreck fest here. Hopefully that does not translate over to the race, but we've seen crazier things happen.
I mean, heck, the last time we were here at Bristol, it was nuts. That whole entire top 10 was insane, I'd had to say.
That whole weekend had insane top 10s, but specifically the truck race.
That's right.
So we'll see if we have a repeat of that here in tonight's race. And if we do, I think it'd be quite the interesting way to open up the chase, because if we do have a repeat, that means a lot of chasers wouldn't end up in the top 10. So definitely something to keep an eye out on here as this race progresses.
Have to see on how it'll all go, but in the meantime, with that, still a minute and 20 remaining in this practice session right now. We might as well go over our playoff drivers. Everybody with a blue banner is one of your various chasers here tonight, and we'll go ahead and zoom up on some of them. As you see right here, 00 Ryan Kendrick, one of the playoff drivers. He was the last Xfinity Series champion, so this 00 looking to go back-to-back here in this playoff.
Yeah, in 2 out of the 3 series, we have the defending champion back to try to repeat with Malachi Drake, also in the in the Truck Series chase. Points leader coming into tonight, Hunter Johnson. They're in the 12, I believe won, or I think he qualified second here for tonight, so he'll definitely be one to watch. Christopher Wiley's been one of the best no matter where we've gone and what car it's been. So, of course, he's going to be one to watch out for. Joe Burgee in the Xfinity chase, I believe the only chase he made. So that 83 should be one to watch as well tonight. And Cole Williams had a bit of a rough going last night at Richmond. Tries to rebound a bit here tonight over on the Xfinity side of things.
Liam Sheen in the number 1 machine, of course, only has 1 win in the Cup Series. Carson Poindexter in the number 21, another playoff driver, and Malachi Drake, he too. I think he's made all 3 playoffs, so trying to make it something a go for him, as seems as though we've dove ourselves into the qualifying, the race session. So we'll go ahead and pull up the grid here right in front of your screen. Congratulations to Brody Garter in that number 55. He'll start front row alongside this number 12, Hunter Johnson.
Row 2, SPM lockout here. Dylan Basin in the 08 and Christopher Weil in the 41.
Row number 3 going to consist of the number 49 of Sir Taj Mon and that number 95 and Nick Miller right alongside of him.
And in row 4, the 1 of Liam Sheen and the 47 of Alec Daffin. Nice qualifying run for him tonight.
Row number 5, and the final row we're going to read off is the number 70 of Harry Grindle, another chase driver right alongside the 00, the reigning champion from last season of Ryan Kendrick. The rest of the order is going to be shown on your screen. Find your favorite driver, and hopefully they'll win here for tonight. And find all those playoff drivers, of course, with blue banners. So it should be fun to see on how it'll all go for all these drivers out on the racetrack. And how it'll all go for these 13 drivers to spark off this playoff.
Looks like they really wanted us to see row number 6 there. As there's Logan Clampett in the 97. Good to see him racing here tonight. Looks like he'll roll off P16. There's Patterson and Cole Williams, 2 of our chasers, roll off 18th and 20th. Burgee rolls off 22nd. So a couple chasers further back in tonight's field. There's Poindexter as well in 23rd. So these guys are going to have to make that ground up pretty quick if they want some bonus points and regular points, I guess. And Jeremiah Bethune, shotgun on tonight's field. He will roll off P31. And I don't know, is Brody going to pit start here?
Looks like Brody Gardner did get a penalty off of cheesing during qualifying, so unfortunate for him. He will be moved to the back, and this will give the third place car of Dylan Basin the starting spot. So that means this 08 will lead the field to the green, and nut number 12, Hunter Johnson. Not really a change up of the chase-wise, but you know, that number 12 now is going to be alongside the 08.
Yeah, tough break for the 55, but we'll see if he can make his way through the field here tonight. He'll just have to do it from 31st instead of 1st. So definitely some more work cut out for him than he would have. But now the inside line will shift up, and now the 08 to Basin, I believe, will have the control here to lead us to the green here for 200 laps here at Bristol.
iSCAR scoots itself down on the pit road. Basin to the 08, Hunter in the 12 will kick off the playoff on the front row. Green flag is out. 200 miles going to go into the books here at Bristol.
Sartaj in the 49 tried to come up in front of the 12, but wasn't clear to, and Hunter should retain the second spot here through turns 3 and 4. One car on the apron here in the middle of turn 3. I don't know, not sure who that was. And here comes Hunter making a move down to the bottom side for the race lead, but the high side always so prevalent, but the caution is out already here on lap 1, and a couple cars in some trouble here. Matthew McDonald and Corey Long, both with a significant amount of damage here in turn 1, so early trouble for those two, and we'll get a look and see what put them towards that inside wall.
Yeah, they're racing toward the back, so see Brody in the 55, Brayson in the 5. Looks like...
Ooh, 118 got tight.
Washed up the racetrack. Oh, and a separate incident.
This is 2 separate incidents, I think. That's Ethan Harrison and Paul Granada in some trouble. So the 77 was the one that was slow on the apron that I mentioned before, and he has a big hit to the inside wall. So it looks like 4 cars picking up a considerable amount of damage. And I think Mitch Hobbs in the 89 came up the track reacting to the 77 coming up and came up a bit too much and tagged the 04. And as at the same time that was happening, the 118 looks like it got a bit tight out of 4, and Brody gets some damage as well from that. Looks like 5 cars end up with damage here already.
That's very unfortunate to see a big wreck like that take a big hit to all those drivers toward the back. Typically, all those drivers toward the back just laying back and trying to mind their own piece of cues, but unfortunately they're running into each other doing it. So a big wreck is going to eliminate multiple drivers off of that, and for the 08 to Dylan Basin, seems as though he'll retain that top spot, and we'll be starting restarting himself up front.
It's a really rough go of it for Brody because he won the pole, but unfortunately got that penalty that sent him to the back, and he ended up in that wreck. So a bad night gone worse already for the 55. We're only a handful of laps in, and it looks like he'll come down and take some damage repair here. So it's, I mean, again, there's still literally the entire race still to try to rebound from this, but of course not the way you want to start the night off by any means.
Oh, no doubt about it. That's very unfortunate for this number 55 at Garner, and we'll just have to see on how it all plays out for him. But in the meantime of that, all eyes on this 08 to Dylan Basin to maybe make something off of it. Get himself reset up front.
Looks like he's elected the high side above the pace car here. So Basin, Johnson, Sartaj, Liam, and Christopher Weil, top 5 here for the first restart of the night. Excuse me, sorry about that. There we go. Get ourselves ready here for the first restart. Here after that lap 1 wreck, pace car will scoot itself down onto the pit lane, and Basin will step on it right now. We're back underway here at Bristol on lap number 7.
Looks like Basin elected the high side into the first couple of corners, but Hunter already challenging and powering on the low side, trying to make that low side work, and it seems as though he's able to corner, but except off of exit. This will allow the number 1 of Sheen to make a charge as he works to the backside of this number 12. That number 95 of Miller is also in there as well, but up front, battle for the lead, and man, they are very close as Hunter attempts to get the lead away from the 08 to Basin.
think the 95 tagged the wall on that previous lap, but it looks like it didn't really do much of anything, thankfully for him. It looks like this top 5 starting to break away a little bit from Christopher Weil and company further back, so maybe we're seeing the best cars on the track trying to separate themselves already, and looks like they're going to go single file here except for Liam Sheen, but here comes Hunter with a run on the bottom trying to get that lead away from the 08 here in the 3.
Oh, contact in the 12! Just about doors the 08 up the racetrack, allows Miller to maybe make insight for the second spot.
And there's Sertage up high. He's up in this mix, but the second caution of the night flies here on lap 11. And we'll see what happens.
Oh, it's Kendrick!
Oh, Ryan Kendrick! A chaser with big problems here, and his front end is gone. And this is going to be a huge hit in the standings here for our defending series champion. And a lot of damage to that car. And so we got to take a look and see what put him in this predicament. But this is not good at all for that 00.
No, it's not. And man, last season's champion in a bubble now. And it seems as though the 86 at Howe got into him and around the 00 went. Oh my goodness.
And the only car involved, and that was a big hit to the inside wall and all that damage. That is going to be a lengthy pit road repair sequence for that 00. And if he has to repair that still when they're coming to the green, he's going to lose a huge chunk of laps. So I think for the 00 at this point, it's quickly turned from a try to get as much track position as possible to a try to limp it home and hope more people wreck out so I can pick up a couple spots here and there. And that's never the night you want to try to have.
That's right. And to be in a wreck on lap number 13 out of 200, still so many laps to go, and that 00 is going to have to limp it for at least the next hour and a half, and it's going to be a nightmare for maybe him to make something off of it. So that's unfortunate. That sucks.
It's one thing to have this happen and with 20 laps to go and you've already run the whole race and you wreck from the top 5, but man, when you wreck at a race like this early, it becomes extremely frustrating because you're probably going to be extremely off pace and you're going to spend most of your time probably just trying to get out of everybody's way, and that can get really aggravating really quick. So that's a really, really tough break for Ryan Kendrick. So he's going to really have to step up his game next week if he wants to get himself into the round of 10.
We'll just have to see on how it'll all work out for that 00, but man, this is bad news for this 00 of Kendrick, who came in here tonight as the reigning series champion. That sucks. Barely got into playoffs, making very minimal starts. Of course, just trying to survive his own. Trying to survive, of course, and get himself through this to this first round. But man,
his road to back-to-back became a lot more difficult.
That's right.
Looks like he's still in the lead lap though, which is fortunate. Hopefully, he's not down too many RPMs here for the rest of the night. But already encouraging that he was able to come off of pit road that quick and not actually lose a lap.
Yeah, that just tells me that 00 didn't get a meatball flag off of that, so he'll be able to continue on, but I'm pretty sure the RPMs on that machine is going to be very, very down, so we'll just have to see on how it'll all go as we...
Did something just happen under caution?
Yeah,
What's Matthew McDonald doing there?
Oh, it blew the motor.
The engine blew. Yeah, and he was one of those involved in that lap 1 wreck, so he'll be done for the night, looks like. So a tough break for him, but that's another spot that Kendrick can't lose now. But meanwhile, back up front, pace car is going to get out of everybody's way, and Basin will step on it. We're back underway here on lap number 17.
Work themselves into 1. Seems as though everybody just trying to follow themselves into line, but 12 maybe has something for this 08 as he worked down into 3. Looks like no, as Sertage Mon is trying to play spoiler to this number 95. How about a move there by the 12? Works himself to the high side. He'll be able to take this top spot and move the 12 100 back up front.
Yeah, Basin picks the high side for the first restart, but this time he picks the low side. And it looks like that was not the way to go. And he's going to lose second here to Miller and third to Sartaj Mon. So that did not work out for the 08 at all. And quickly goes from first, now back to fourth. And might lose another spot here to Sheen in the 1. Hopefully this isn't some sort of problem that the 08 is having, but he's just tanking right now. As Liam gets by, and Clampett's going to make a move to the bottom here in the 1.
Yeah, Logan Clampett in that number 97 trying to follow that 08 through as Sheen is trying to sort of squeeze up the 97 as much as he can. And Clampett, he too is trying to look for a run around Basin, but seems as though sort of boxed in line. Sheen not letting go of that bottom, and Clampett washes up the corner just a bit, trying to follow Basin through. This allows the top 4 to pull themselves away as Sartaj Mon in the 49 works himself into third.
Yeah, top 3 breakaway here is the 49 and the 08 have about a half-second gap here. Side by side briefly there for P5, that's Sheen and Schmidt. Now that's around P7 as the 1 is losing some spots here on the bottom. Getting freight trained on the high side right now. And he'll drop another spot to Harry Grindle in the 70. So the 9 already, or the 1 rather, already back into 9th place. And looks like he will try to be able to file in here. Or maybe not.
Maybe he just likes the bottom.
He's losing a lot of time down there.
Yeah, and I guess he just likes running the bottom side of the racetrack. Everybody else likes running the higher side of the racetrack, and it seems as though the 1 taking a different option all the way next to the apron, but I think he's just losing too much time using that lower side of the racetrack, and you see the number 90 and Malachi Drake might make a charge in for this number 1 machine, but he's fending off for now, so it might work here to the short run advantage.
Malachi Drake, one of those to watch here tonight, defending Truck Series champion and the most recent winner here at Bristol in iSCAR, picked up the Truck Series win here just a few short weeks ago. So we know that 90 has what it takes to get it done here, and currently runs in the top 10. So we'll see if he can maybe make it 2 for 2 here at Bristol this season.
Clampett in the 97s working all over Dylan Basin, trying to get around him, and it seems as though just no real way to get around at Bristol unless you want to pull a bump and run. Once you get yourself into pace, it's just sort of hard to gauge on what kind of run you're going to have, but it looks like the 95 of Clampett is going to do what Hunter Johnson did earlier and nose his car to the outside. So Basin now stuck in the bottom. We'll see if he can slide up right in front of Schmidt. Looks like no, so Basin looking to lose a bit more spots here as he tries to send into the corner, maybe clear the 79 off, but can't.
Can't do that too much. That's going to wear out your tires if you do that too many times. So that might be something you do with like 5 laps to go, but not something you do with 171 to go.
Right behind Basin, it's a couple of chasers here. The number 91 of Garrett Hess and the number 70 of Harry Grindle in this mix as well. And it seems as though they're not being able to catch up to the cars right in front of them. That number 08 of Basin. But speaking of catching up, Miller is there. He's knocking on the door of Hunter, and it seems as though this 95 may have a charge in.
On board, and he really closes the gap there with Hunter Johnson this time. And meanwhile, Clampett has caught Sartaj Mon here. This is for 3rd place as those top 2 start to pull away from these 2 and the rest of the pack. So we'll see how long it takes Clampett to make this move. It looks like he's already going to take it to the low side for that position. But Miller can't quite get right to the bumper of Hunter yet. So it's going to take quite the charge to get that 12 out of that lead.
Seems as though Miller's closing up the gap a lot right in the entrance to the center of the corner. Hunter is just getting a nice enough run off the corner to keep himself in front, and as well as runs on the front straightaway. But see right there, they run low off of turn number 4, just flat arcing the corner off as Clampett now works to the underside of Sartaj for this spot. Close racing between these 2 as the caution comes out, wrecked toward the back, and this involves, looks like,
survey says,
might have been Matthew McDonald. I'm not really sure. Might have been Ethan Harrison.
Harrison was just moving out of the way of the leaders as he came into camera frame. There he moves out of Johnson and Miller's way, sitting on the apron. Goes down onto the said apron. I think he's going to pit.
Oh, it might have triggered a caution. I mean, he tried to pull it off the track. I mean, he's as low as he can, but Should have pulled it onto pit road rather than, you know, the low side, and that triggered a caution.
Yeah, I don't think he realized. I think he was just trying to alt F4, knowing he was just going to be a roadblock at that point, but didn't realize doing so would create a caution. So tough break there. You know, probably just not realizing that would happen. But with this caution, looks like it's going to drag everybody onto pit road here for the first of their 5 tire sets allotted to them here in tonight's race. And we'll see if we have any strategy calls. And it looks like somebody further back is going to stay out here. That's Poindexter in the 21. Bonus point for him for leading the lap. So, bit of strategy for him, and he should be down pit road next time by.
Question is, can he lead the lap? No. Yeah, Hunter will take the lap at the wire on pit road. So, Poindexter is going to have to stay himself out for another lap. And it looks like Hunter might have overshot pit road. No, it looks like no. I thought he did. Nose is a bit over the line, but looks like no. But in the meantime of that, everybody on in 4 tires, fresh Sunoco fuel, and up and away they go. We'll see if Miller could beat Hunter out of pit road. Cha-ching!
Yo, that was close. Looks like Sertage beat Clampett off pit road as well.
And looks like no. So I thought Hunter, got beat off of pit road by Miller, but that was really, really close. And Miller had a faster pit stop than this number 12. Miller with a 14.58 and Hunter with a 14.67. So a really close race off of pit road. Maybe could determine the.
A tenth of a second can make that much of a difference.
That's right.
A tenth of a second. I mean, it's really hard to even envision how long a tenth of a second really is, but it can mean that much. As indeed, the 21 will now come down pit road after picking up the bonus point there, and for him being in the chase makes perfect sense to stay out and get that bonus point. But for him, he's going to have to make his way through the field now, because with him pitting after everybody else has, he's going to drop quite a few spots. So it'll be an interesting trade-off. And for Nick Miller, that trade-off looks like it was probably not worth it last night, because he stayed out on those older tires last night at Richmond and then ended up in pretty much every wreck humanly possible after that. So hopefully the same fate does not strike the 21. There's still a long ways to go for him to make that roundup.
We'll just have to see on how it'll all turn out. But in the meantime of that, this number 12, Hunter Johnson, Miller in the 95, Sertage in the 49 will lead the field to the green. We'll just have to see on how they will sort out for this top 5 once we do see that green flag coming up on the quarter of a way through the race. So this race already blazing by fast here at this half-mile racetrack. Hunter Johnson in the number 12, Nick Miller in the 95. Green flag as the pace car scoots itself onto pit road. We're up and away here again.
Green, green, green.
Miller was not able to get a good jump on the restart. Now he'll slide himself into second place. And right behind, Logan Clampett in the 97 trying to play spoiler. Not a chase vehicle, and he's finding out with another driver who's not a chase car. And Miller tries to fling it up on the high side. Looks like not going to work for him. And
Look at Schmidt in the 4th.
oh, he's flying, too.
And that's 79, one of the fastest cars on track right now. I'm not sure where he started, but already now into this top 5. And for him being a chaser, this is really important because he needs to start off this chase with a solid run to set himself up nicely for a good run next week to try to get into the round of 10.
It's all working out for him right now as we do have a bit of ATVO issues, unfortunately, on our side. So camera's going to stay static, guys, to try to reset ATVO. But in the meantime of that, you're watching Schmidt in the number 79, as well as Logan Clampett and Hunter Johnson, as well as Nick Miller in the mix as well. Duke it out for position. Da-da-da-da-da. There we go.
Yep, ATVO doing its regularly scheduled freeze here during the race. It do be like that sometimes here. Lap 46 here, almost a fourth of the way through tonight. Looks like the top 4 are starting to separate themselves from the rest of the pack. Johnson, Miller, Clampett, and Schmidt. Those 4 with Sertage Munn bringing up the rest of the field right now in P5. So Clampett, one of the only one in this top 4 that's not a chaser. And we all know how established that 97 is. Congratulations to him, by the way, on his move to William Byron Esports for the next Coca-Cola Series season, as we see Kendrick on pit road taking some more damage repair.
Yeah, it seems as though Kendrick had to fling it on a pit road, maybe repair as much optional as they can to get that car clean and out on the racetrack. So a very unfortunate circumstance for that 0-0 of Kendrick. In the meantime of that, Hunter Johnson under pressure here from the 95 and Miller. Two chase vehicles under fire as well from Clampett in this 97. We'll see what Clampett does with these top two once they do start to fight it out. Because I'm pretty sure Clampett's easily going to sneak himself through this top two and work himself forward. We'll just have to see, though.
Engine expiration on the 0-0. His night is over here on lap 50, so he's going to be in a big points hole going into next week's race. So he's going to have to really, really be on his A game if he wants to advance onward. But his road to defending his championship just got a whole lot harder.
That sucks. Hunter, in the meantime of that, total opposite for him as he leads more laps under green. Miller in the 95 washes up way high on the racetrack, nearly slags the outside wall as we see a bit of battling going on toward the back. It's Basin and Harry Grindle going to go at it for the 6th position.
Yeah, solid battle here. Basin started this race in P3, but with the pre-race penalty to Brody Gardner's effect will be started in first as Sertage with a slip up there, and that allows Grindle to overtake for 5th, or at least try to, and the two of them make contact there in the middle of the turn, and they make contact again out of turn 4. That Grindle will finally clear, and whoa! And Sertage with a crossover attitude, he's going to stack them all up. Hess and Basin make contact into turn 3. Grindle hits the outside wall, and we're almost 3 wide here still, as they're all over each other here across the line.
Oh, that's just too close racing right there, but I'm surprised nobody wrecked off of that exchange as Sertage and Harry made contact right in the center of the corner. That is not where you want to make contact, especially when the car is underweight there. As you see right behind this, number 41 as Christopher Weil is sort of roaming outside. Well, now he's inside this top 10, but this number 41 has had a fairly quiet night. So we'll see if he pops up inside this top 5 or top 3 as we progress with this one. But in the meantime of that, Hunter has moved himself to the low side. It seems as though that seems to be the way.
Yeah, the high side definitely the dominant one of the night so far. I'm noticing that I'm seeing less, dive bombs down to the bottom for position than we saw in the truck race a couple weeks ago. I don't know if maybe the bottom isn't as strong in these cars. I'm not really sure. But it just means that it's going to be a bit harder to pass, I guess, than it was in the truck event. So something these guys have to keep in mind as this race goes on. It wouldn't shock me if we end up seeing some bump and runs for positions late in the going.
We're about to see a bump and run right here. Look at all these cars. They're stacked up nose to tail, I'd say from 5th all the way back to around 11th. So Omar Diallo in this number 23. Contact there with the 1 of Sheen and the 41 of Weil.
Wall. Somebody tagged the wall in the middle of the turn. I think it was at 70. He's gotten it a couple times now while battling with the 49 here. And I think the 70 definitely wants to get around Sertage, and we saw contact between those two a few laps ago. So I think the 70 might be a bit impatient right now, but I can understand why he wants to get himself up there, because with him being in the chase, of course, every position counts.
The only reason they're stacked up is because the 49 is probably the slowest out of everybody in this pack, as not Grindle, but Hess slags the outside wall again. But in the meantime of that, lap cars playing a factor into this one. Hunter Johnson, Nick Miller, and Logan Clampett trying to scoot themselves around. Paul Granado in the 04. They're flying.
With them staying up high, they had to change their lines a bit. Now Clampett has caught the 95. It looks like Schmidt has lost these top two, so Schmidt's a bit of an island of his own here, around a second behind these top 3 and 2.5 seconds almost ahead of 5th place. The 79 kind of just doing his own thing now as these top 3 continue to pull away from the rest of the field.
Hunter loses a lot of time, but off the exit of the corner, he just flies off. It seems as though he knows where to set his car up right enough to get a nice exit off the corner, and it's keeping him ahead. But now Miller in the 95 is slowly starting to close that gap between himself and that number 12. We might have a battle here soon within this lead, and if these top two start to battle out, what will Clampett do in the 97? He's going to be boxing in line unless he wants to take it 3, so...
Well, look at who's about to get lapped. That's Cole Williams in the 42, one of our 13 chasers, about to get put a lap down here by the leaders, and I could definitely see a situation here where the 42 tries to fend off the 12 as much as possible in an attempt not to get lapped. See also Ryan Newman at Bristol a couple years ago with Matt DiBenedetto, so it wouldn't surprise me if we see that happen, especially with the chase implications on the line. And speaking of chasers about to get lapped, Josh Patterson not that far ahead of this 42 either.
Yeah, so an interesting scenario. What will the 42 do, as well as the 00 of Ryan, not Ryan Kendrick, but the Josh Patterson and Cole Williams. And these two drivers trying not to get lapped, but the two right in front of him trying to lap them. As Patterson just about finds the outside wall, Cole gets lapped. In the meantime of that, this will allow Miller to close up. And what will Patterson do in the midst of this?
He can't really do anything. Looks like Hunter's going to get by both of them without a problem. But can Miller and Clampett catches Cole off the corner. So that'll slow him up just a bit. So now Miller is right up to Hunter again. And the 95 should be clear of the 02 here into turn 3. So he can set his sights on that 12 once again. But now we're going to have to watch Cole and Patterson as this battle goes on too. Because this can be a battle for the lucky dog spot if another caution comes out as well.
That is correct. Excuse you, by the way. God bless you. And
Sneeze counter 2. Second night in a row I've done that now.
oh, look at this battle between the 70 of Grindle as he tries to fend out the one of Sheen, who's sideways off the corner. As Joe Berge in the 83 also peeking in the mix. Harry finds the outside wall and sort of jams up this high side a bit. What will Weil do in the number 41 to find himself around these two drivers?
That's 5 chasers all in a row. 8th through 12th they run here on the track. So this is 4 points up for grabs between these 5 cars. And Grindle tags the wall. And here comes Weil making a move on Hess. And there's Brody Gardner, the man who won the pole but was penalized before the race starts. He is now back in this top 15. So that 55, I think, one to watch here as this night goes on as well. Trying to get into this chase battle.
Miller has been all over that number 12 of Hunter Johnson as they catch the 7 of Henry Tabor. Hunter's going to be side by side with a 7. It's going to allow Miller to pull up on him. What will Miller do now?
Alright, man.
Oh, caution comes out, though. We got a wreck toward the back, and around goes Hess.
One of our 13 chasers in some trouble, and looks like he's got a significant amount of damage, just like what Kendrick picked up earlier in the race. And I was mentioning these 5 chasers all battling with each other, and it looks like something finally gave. And looks like Grindle may have tagged the wall, and Sheen gets collected, and Malachi Drake. So
wow.
3 chasers pick up damage in this wreck. And yeah, there's a 70 in the wall, and nowhere for the 91 to go. And Christopher Weil missed that by inches.
I mean, technically 4. Harry also in it as well, but Harry just tagged the outside wall. Hess couldn't check up in time. Sheen gets into him, and Malachi also plowing in through, but nowhere to go for him. So this will hit a reset button again.
That's 4 chasers. And Tabor got lapped before the caution, so the 7 gets the free pass, I believe. Or actually, the 42 just went around the leaders. Maybe Tabor was not quite lapped
Trying
yet.
to take the wave around, probably.
Yeah, so Tabor back on the lead lap, and then Cole as well.
So yeah, Tabor gets the free pass, and Cole waves around himself, so.
So Patterson stuck a lap down, unfortunately. Unless, oh, nope, there he is. He's doing the same thing. And here they come down pit road. This is the second pit stop of the night for them. And there's the 00, unfortunately, out of tonight's race with that engine expiration. Not the way you want to watch the rest of the night. See if any strategy calls come out of this. I don't envision anybody will try to take 2 or fuel me this early, but that could be something we see later on in the race. And looks like Clampett will come off second. So Miller loses a spot.
He might have sped. Schmidt's going by him, so. Did he?
I don't know.
Uh-oh.
It looks like he did.
Too fast. And Miller was in prime position to grab the lead, speeding.
That's what I was talking about before the race starts. Only 40 miles per hour. It's a very, very slow pit road, and it's very easy to go over, and it looks like the 95 has done just that here under caution. So our first pit road speeding penalty happens to be one of our chasers. So just like last night at Richmond, the list of chasers in some kind of trouble tonight has quickly started to increase. There have been a lot of chasers between these two races that have been in some degree of trouble here this week.
Man, look at the amount of people that are lapped already. Looks like everybody from 21st on back has been lapped. So a third of the field has been lapped, as now this will give Clampett the opportunity to grab the lead away from this number 12 of Johnson. And how will Clampett race around these chasers? I mean, of course, we have chaser and non-chaser contact before. Saw it in the Cup race at Richmond on how it went with Miller and Hess. And how will it go over with Clampett and Hunter? I mean, these are two profound drivers that have made a statement here in iSCAR. Two former champions between these, that number 12 and 97, and multiple wins between those two.
I believe the two winningest drivers as Hunter steps on it here. And we're back underway here on lap 82. So almost halfway into tonight's race. So even with these couple cautions, these laps still ticking off pretty quickly here as the night goes on.
Battling right behind, it's Brody and Wow as they work themselves in a 1 and 2. Also in this mix as well, watch out for that number 23 of Diallo, who's worked himself inside the top 5 out of nowhere. He works to the underside of Basin and tries to gun for that spot. In the meantime, of that top 3 is scooting themselves away. And how about William Schmidt in that number 79 making a nice run? He's chasing down this number 97 to Clampett, and he's knocking on the door for the second spot.
You just mentioned the 23 of Diallo. He was one of the fastest cars on the racetrack in the truck race a couple of weeks ago, but got wrecked under caution and was not able to finish where his speed deserved, or he should have finished, I guess. But another opportunity here tonight to prove that he's got the speed to win here, and he runs P5 here as we approach the halfway point. So we'll see if he can get the job done here tonight, but he's got quite a few impressive cars to get through if he wants to do it.
Should have to see, but Schmidt is all over the 97. He might nose to the outside of him. Looks like no. Clampett cuts him off right here on the front straightaway. So pinpoint driving between those two drivers as we see the battle right behind. Basin is just watching these top 3 just pull themselves away. He's not really challenging up inside this spot, but look at right behind. A lot of drivers are fairly fanned out as Miller already working through traffic trying to get himself forward. He is already in 11th.
Wasting no time at all after that pit road speeding penalty he just incurred, and almost in the top 10 already. So the 95, definitely one of those faster ones out on the track as well. Brody in the 55 also, after that pre-race penalty, he's up into 7th now. So we know that he has a lot of speed in addition to that 95. And here comes Grindle trying to get around the 47 of Daff, and this is for P12 after that contact with Hess that just brought out the last caution. And there goes Schmidt for second around Clampett.
Schmidt's flying. He's faster than that number 97, and he worked himself into second place, working to the high side of him. Now he'll be knocking on the door to get around this number 12. So Schmidt may be the fastest car out on the racetrack, short run wise, in my opinion. And this number 79, look at the gap between himself and Hunter. It's closing.
Man, he is absolutely on a tear right now, and he's right there to the back bumper of that 12, so I don't know if he's going to try the low side this time, but he seems to be much more comfortable up high, so this could be a deal where maybe the 12 decides to stay up there and try to take his line away. But if that's the case, maybe we'll see a send on the bottom for that position. But regardless, that 79 definitely fast and definitely there.
Clampett's losing a lot of time. Maybe he's trying to straddle the bottom side of the racetrack, find some grip off of there as he's running lower. But up front, though, Schmidt now to the back door of this number 12. He works to the high side of him, and what can he do to get by the 12 of Hunter Johnson? He's done it before. Flashback a couple seasons ago. Xfinity at Iowa.
Yeah, William, one of those that's won some races in some of the wackiest ways possible. And we'll see if he can maybe do it in a bit more normal circumstances here in tonight's race as he tries to get by iSCAR's winningest driver. There's Diallo trying to get around Basin. Battle here around 10th or so. This is Malachi, Daffin, and Dominic Howe. I think this is more like 15th, but a couple of damaged race cars back here.
Schmidt's there. I mean, the question is, how much does Schmidt wear off his tires to get back to this number 12, a Hunter? Look how higher that number 79 is running in the entry of the corner. It might be wearing out that right front a bit more than what he wants to. What he has to do is maybe run a bit lower and follow in at each other's tire tracks, but... Oh, Schmidt got really tied off of 2, and that, yeah, that right there is just a sign of that right front wearing, and I don't think he's going to have a challenge for this top spot for now. We'll see on how he'll fend out Logan Clampett in that number 97 once he does catch back up.
I mean, I'm sure the 79 wants to win really bad, but if you look at it from a points perspective, second place is still really, really good points-wise. So if he can at least hold off Clampett the rest of the field and finish maybe even runner-up the Hunter, that still puts him in a great spot going into next week to try to advance on to the next round of the chase.
Miller to the underside, a point extra for this position. This is for 9th, as of course Miller had to start himself from the rear of the field because of that speeding penalty. Did not work out to his advantage. And
Miller getting up there pretty quick.
Yeah, he's now back in 10th. And of course there's a span of cars behind this Ojeda Basin, who is dragging in the 23 of Omar Diallo. Christopher Weil now working himself inside the top 6, so number 41 lagging on the show up here as Clampett works himself to the underside of Schmidt for the second spot.
Yeah, I think the 79 definitely used up his stuff trying to get around that 12, and now he's vulnerable to lose that second spot back to Clampett, but we'll see how long he can fend off the rest of these guys. But for right now, doing a good job of fending him off, but I don't know how long he'll be able to do that. But the more these two run side by side, the more and more that 12 can start to pull away.
Oh, Clampett. Oh, he's even with Schmidt right up off the corner. Look how close they are through the center of the corner. It seems as though Clampett is going to be able to clear the 79. Never minded that. Looks like no. Clampett's going to have to work through another lap. Now he clears the 79, so...
And there's Basin in the 08. He's there as well, trying to make a move perhaps on this 79. There's Omar Diallo in the 23. Just mentioned him a couple moments ago and how good he was in the truck race. Now starting to get himself closer and closer to this lead. See if he can try to get there and perhaps win. And he's won in a couple different series so far this season. One of the more consistent drivers across the board. And here he comes making a move up high from G4.
Schmidt pinching off the Ojeda Basin through 3 and 4 allows Diallo to grab 4th spot. Diallo's now going to have a charge in under Schmidt and nearly near contact there with the 23 as he sailed to the inside though.
That was a great crossover there by Diallo. Got Basin up high and immediately threw it down low to try to get around that 79. And at the line, I think the 23 barely had it by the slightest of margins. But I think he'll get him here out of turn 2. And indeed he does. And he should be able to clear out of turn 4. So put that 23 now up into a podium spot. He's flying.
And Schmidt will be able to file in, or at least tries to, as Basin just about puts the bumper to the 79. While watching in 6th spot as he now guns into the position. Oh! Basin rams the 79 through the center of the corner, trying to get him going.
Oh, that's risky business. That's really risky business right here. You don't want to end up wrecking him because that'll be a big penalty for the 08 if he does on an EOL. And you don't want to wreck a chaser either. And that's allowed Christopher Weil and Brody Gardner to catch up to these two. Now you got a 4-car battle here for P4. And further back, and Schmidt tags the wall in the middle of the turn.
We got tied off the corner and looks as though he'll be able to stay side by side with the Basin, but I think in turn 4 you'll... Oh! Basin tagged the apron, so this is definitely going to slow this whole pack down.
I think Brody thought about taking it 3 and then realized, yeah, 3 wide at Bristol doesn't work at all. But you can tell the 55 had a run and just couldn't go anywhere with it. And I think he's better on the bottom, but just literally can't go anywhere with the 08 sitting there. So the 55 just has to stand pat for right now and hope something happens in front of him.
And if something does happen in front of him, hopefully he'll be able to fling it to the low side and out of harm's way.
Wild as well.
Basin finally clears Schmidt.
Yeah, and if anything happens, the 41 wants to get down there as well. So the 55 and the 41 definitely looks like they're taking a cautious approach, but the caution is out once again. It looks like Alec Daffin in some trouble here into turn 3. I believe this is our 4th caution of the night. And we'll see what happened. Racing with Harry Grindle and Liam Sheen, 2 of our 13 chasers.
Sheen coming down, and Daffin, oh, just washed up the racetrack a bit too tight. Oh, man, look at all those cars just flying by the 47, but a bit too much off the corner. Flung that 47 into the door of that 70. He also tagged the apron.
Fortunately, nobody else gets a piece of this. And here come the leaders once again. And we'll see if anybody decides to say themselves out.
I think you're too deep into the run to really take a gamble to stay out unless you're a lap down car and maybe get a wave around or get yourself lucky dog course.
Looks like Corey Long in the 93, one of those staying out. I don't know if anybody else is.
Here we go. That is identical pit stop entries there by Diallo and Clampett. Just a question on how...
That was very satisfying to watch.
That's right, and now it's a question of on how RNG is going to work with them. And it seemed as though it worked for Clampett. 14.1, that's a fairly fast pit stop. Where will Hunter come out? Even though it's a 15-second pit stop by Hunter, it still gained him some time. And Hunter sped!
He sped! Oh boy, so the second chaser of the night, speeding on pit road, is going to put that 12 towards the rear of this lead lap. And his dominant night may have just come to an end here. And I believe this is going to put Clampett in the lead for the restart.
Oh my gosh. Wow, so the 12 gets caught speeding and the fastest car of the night gets flung to the rear. And you know how hard it is to pass at Bristol. It's going to be a nightmare for Hunter.
And looks like Corey will come down onto pit road now. So indeed, Clampett and Diallo will now be the front row for the restart. And the 97 will have control. And now Brody up to 3rd out of all of that. So our pole sitter now finally back up in the top 5 again. And now our highest running chaser all of a sudden is now Christopher Weil in that 41.
How about that for the man I was mentioning about not really making a show inside the top 10, and now he's the highest running chaser for that number 41, so it seems as though it's working out to his favor. And my goodness, for this 12 to get a speeding penalty, he's gonna have to start all the way in 16th spot. I mean, that's not too far of a fall off, but
well, I mean, Nick Miller got the speeding penalty on the last caution, and he's up into P6 already, so it's not out of the question that the 12 can get back up there, but sure, definitely not ideal at all.
That's right.
And of course, you know, everyone remembers the real-life truck race a couple years ago when Kyle Busch got that speeding penalty and still ended up winning the race, so a speeding penalty is not the end of the world, it's just a bump in the road. But hopefully for that 12, he doesn't get caught up in a wreck along the way.
In the meantime of that, for Clampett, he just got gifted the lead, and it'll be himself and Omar Diallo, top 4, all non-chasers as we take it to the green. Clampett with a huge jump over Diallo in the 23, as Gardner the 55, after that penalty off the first lap, seems as though he's worked himself inside this top 3. We'll see if he can make a charge in for this lead.
I don't know if the 41's got a bad start or what, but Miller got by him almost immediately up into this top 5 as he tries to make his way around Brody in the 55, who's the lone car right now on the bottom. But he's doing pretty good down there, trying to hang tough with the 95 there. And I think he's in a final line here, so the 55 now back up into 5th after winning the pole earlier.
Clampett is selecting a different line through the center of the corner. Big check up here for 3rd as Basin Had to check up a bit to get off of Diallo through the center of the corner. Oh, man.
That was one heck of a restart by Clampett, too. He pulled away almost immediately, but I think Diallo might be starting to gain that ground back, as that lead now is about 6/10, now down to only 3/10. And here comes Miller looking for third under his teammate Basin. So Miller trying to pick up a couple more valuable points towards his chase as the 23 continues to try to rail in or get to the 97.
Also another battle right behind. There's a 12 Johnson working himself through traffic now by Sheen in the 1, and now he's going to try to work himself around the 90 of Malachi Drake. Malachi to the bottom side of the racetrack. Hunter taking the opportunity to fling it up on the high side. And with Clampett up front, 4-10 separate himself and Omar Diallo. You know how fast those top two are. We've seen Omar win at some... We've seen him dominate at Atlanta and Charlotte, the Cup car. And now matching himself up with Logan Clampett. That just tells you the amount of talent under that number 97's virtual hood.
Yeah, and the 23s as well. I think if Diallo could pick it up tonight, I think he'd be the second driver along with Eric Heater to win in the top 3 series at least once apiece. So we know that speed's there for him as well. And a lot of these guys up here have plenty of speed, but the burning question is, can they use that speed and get themselves to the lead? And for right now, the answer to that looks like it's no.
Basin washes up in the middle of the corner, and it seems as though Miller trying to close the gap between himself and the 08. Looks like no. And Omar slowly falling into the hands of Basin, but Basin's also falling into the hands of Miller. And this will allow Garner to maybe pull up here, so it's sort of a squishing in together from 2nd to 5th. What will Weil do? And then to number 41, if these top 4 start to duke it out side by side, we might see some 2x2 action like we saw earlier.
Well, that, I think, is the trickiest part about trying to make passes here at Bristol, is that you could have a great run on the car in front of you and make it move onto the bottom, but you have to consider, if I do this and it doesn't work, is that going to allow the car behind me to try to make a move on me? And that's something you always have to consider, is you could have a great opportunity to pass somebody, but if it fails, you might be letting your guard down to get past in more spots than you would have gained. So a lot of mind games going on here with these guys in the top 5 to try to calculate what might be a good move to make, what might be too risky.
Basin got really lucky there. He washed up the racetrack, and Miller had a huge shot to get by him for third, but looks like Basin finally got the power down on the high side to get himself secure in for that third spot. So Miller gonna have to try again for that third spot, but Basin in the meantime is that he's turned it around and has worked himself to the back side of this number 23. What can he do around for this position? And it seems as though the gap between Clampett and Omar is slowly closing. And with Clampett running on the lower side of the racetrack like that, I think he's more eligible to... He has more leeway to battle it out with everybody else in the field, because with Clampett running lower, it saves him a bit of tire. So if Omar has a huge run on him, Clampett could easily pass by him if he does get stuck in second spot, because he'll have the fresher tires rather than this number 23 who's still trying to work to the backside of this number 97.
Yeah, and we saw that earlier with William Schmidt in the 79, who had gotten up to the backside of Hunter Johnson and was almost there for the lead, but ended up using up his tires in the process and then fell back a bit before the caution came out. That's the other thing these guys have to keep in mind as they try to catch this 97, is to not use up their tires more than Clampett is. And if they do that, they may end up suffering a similar fate to what Schmidt did. So we'll see how that all plays out as well as they come up on the slower car here. Looks like we'll just stay up high. That's Aaron Brown in the 11. Or now we'll go to the bottom.
Yeah, Aaron working himself out of harm's way, and you see Daffin there right in front of all these leaders, already 1 lap down. If he goes another lap down, he'll be the first car 2 laps down. Actually, the second car 2 laps down. Aaron Brown is also 2 laps down, but he'll still get the wave around. I mean, the free pass if we do get another caution.
Looks like the top 6 are starting to pull away a bit. Almost a second gap between Weil and Burgee, who resides in that 6th spot, as they have a train of 5 chasers right here from looks like 6th or actually 7th through 11th, and while in 6th. So we've got 6 chasers all in a row here, all duking it out for valuable positions. As we have a rear view shot there of Burgee as he resides ahead of Carson in the 21. So a lot of points up for grabs here with all these chasers running this close to each other. And actually 7 in a row with Liam also in 12.
Davin sort of playing a lap car role in the way of all these drivers. Was up on the high side, and where Basin and Miller wanted to run, and it seemed as though now Weil is going to be sort of stuck with Daffin, but it'll be interesting to see on how Daffin plays the lap car role, getting out of harm's way. I mean, he's just holding his line and trying to prevent much. Trying to salvage what he can. And you see right there, a move there for this 7th position is going to put these cars side by side right behind. How about Schmidt sort of parks it in line. He is trying to work himself through this top 5, but unfortunately nowhere to go. And now finds the high side, and Daffin moves himself down low. So an opportunity for Schmidt to pull in for the 7th spot.
Yeah, close call there, as that could have ended up disastrous, but thankfully it was not. So a couple chasers move around as Diallo has caught the 97 of Clampett, but now it's a matter of can he get around him, and I don't know if he can, because Clampett, of course, is going to do all he can to defend that spot. 23, definitely one of the fastest cars on the track right now.
In a blink of an eye, we are ready. 3/4 of the way through this event. 150 out of 200 laps to go. Now time is in question on how it'll all play out. Can these drivers even make it on fuel?
Yeah, not a lot of time left, so, believe it or not, there's still 50 laps to go, but time definitely starting to run out here. Some of these drivers towards the rear of this top 10, maybe top 15, to try to get themselves further in this field, maybe score top 5, or maybe even unseat Clampett for the win. So they definitely have to go right about now if they want to make some noise here.
Yeah, it's just been the top 2 by themselves. Omar Diallo and Logan Clampett trying to get the best of each other, as Hendrick is back on the racetrack, by the way. There he is, running in 26th position, 103 laps down.
Yeah, we thought the engine blew, but I guess he was able to get that repaired.
Only have been 2 cautions so far, 153 laps in. It's been a relatively clean race so far. And for this top 2, both non-chasers, Logan Clampett and Omar Diallo, they finally meet 1 and 2 on the racetrack. And it seems as though Clampett's getting the best of this number 23.
Yeah, but we know that 23's got a lot of speed, but again, he just can't quite get to the rear bumper of that 97, and it wouldn't surprise me if we potentially see a bump and run, but he's not even close enough to do that yet. So he still needs to make up, looks like, at least 1/10 to even create the possibility of doing that. But hopefully for the 23, he didn't use up the stuff trying to get to the back bumper at Clampett.
Battling right behind. Schmidt now 7th place. Hunter is only back in 10th, so he's led 99 laps so far, and after that speeding penalty, it's obviously detrimental to him, unfortunately. He still has the most laps led for right now, but I think Clampett might overtake him here for that statistic, so Hunter now in detriment of losing an extra bonus point as they catch the lap car of the 11 of Aaron Brown.
A bit of a rough weekend so far for that 11 after the race he had on Friday, and did alright last night, but unfortunately a couple laps down here in tonight's race, so hopefully he can rebound here going to next week as Clampett goes to put that 7 of Henry Tabor down a lap. And move out of the way of Diallo as well. coming up on Corey Long next as Miller has caught the 08 at base, and this could be a battle here for third in a couple of moments with Brody and Weil right behind them in 5th and 6th.
Hunter has finally worked himself in the 7th spot as they're starting to jam up from 8th on back. It's William Schmidt, Harry Grindle, and Carson Poindexter. All three of these drivers are chasers as Harry noses himself to the high side of Schmidt. Oh, put himself on the wall doing it. Don't want to do that.
Yeah, and you see that move that Carson had to make to avoid hitting him. And thankfully, he didn't hit him, but a close call there for both of those cars. And we've already seen one wreck tonight where that 70 got the wall and got run into by a chaser, so you definitely don't want to see it happen twice.
Harry's knocking on the door of Schmidt. Harry very low off the corner and fending out 21 at Poindexter for right now, but can only do so much before, of course, the cars around you start to screw up.
35 to go. Not a lot of time left at all. And Diallo slipped up somewhere because now he's over a second back when he was just about 2/10 back. I don't know what just happened there, but he lost a considerable amount of time. And now Clampett with a lot more breathing room than what he just had.
And this gives Clampett...
Put a lot down.
Yep, that's right. And this gives Clampett some more leeway to...
I wonder if Diallo caught a lap car at a bad time or something.
Probably, but again, it gives more leeway for Clampett to save a bit of tires up on the low side. Diallo's still losing some more time, so... Basin, you see this 08, and now trying to fend off Miller in the 95. Right behind him, it's Brody, Weil, Johnson, and all sorts of traffic right behind him. With Schmidt and Poindexter and Grindle, so... Oh!
Whoa!
Schmidt slaps the outside wall, and Poindexter moves himself to the bottom.
Another close call there between chasers.
And Schmidt's rear end is now gone.
Oh, man.
Oh, you see right there, the 79's handling is gone, and Berge just about running over the 70.
I thought the 70 was going to get hooked by the 83, as I think Grindle is trying to fend off Berge as much as possible, but he knows the 83 is faster than he is. And now Berge makes a move up high, trying to get around that 70, who's just hanging on for dear life at this point. And here comes Cole Williams in the 42, trying to make some noise out of this. He was lapped earlier, but now finds himself in a lead lap battle here with some chasers for position. And looks like he's going to pass Grindle here, probably in a lap or two. That 70 is trying to make it to the end at this point. But speaking of make it to the end, can these guys even make it on fuel if this goes green to the end?
The last time they did hit pit road, seems as though it was 56 laps ago. And I think the fuel window is like 90-ish laps. So I think it's going to be close. So, of course, if we get the caution, it's going to throw that strategy out the window. But if we do see a fuel stop, what kind of strategy are you going to elect with? I think for myself, fuel only. This race has gone fairly clean, and once you do have to hit pit road for fuel, you're only in for a required amount. Oh, there's a caution.
Well, forget everything you just said, because now it doesn't matter.
It's Hunter.
Hunter! He had just gotten himself back into the top 10, and now he's going to have to get himself back up there again. And looks like there was some trouble with Weil in this as well. Racing with Brody Gardner. Oh, Weil got into Brody, and I think Weil went to move down the track to get around him and didn't know Hunter was there. And the 12 ends up spinning across the line. I think Brody may have gotten the wall, and the 41 was just trying to avoid him at that point. And
of course, Hunter just trying to gun for that spot. And unfortunately, Hunter didn't realize he's really taking it technically 3 wide off of 4. And it funnels up so much off of that corner. And Weil couldn't really do much because Brody was pulling it down on in. And, of course, no surprise to see everybody on the pit road.
Out. With only 25 to go, I can definitely see somebody try to stay out here.
I think they were just too deep into that run.
Their tires gonna be much older since it was such a longer run, but I think someone might risk it here with this little of the race left. Or maybe not. Looks like nobody is electing to do that. I thought somebody may have tried it, but
I think we were just too deep into that run to maybe make something off of it.
probably. If the run was maybe half the length it was, maybe someone would have done it, but with how long of a run that was, probably too long of one. We'll see who wins the race off.
Wow, some two-tire calls.
So Basin elects with 2. Miller is second off pit road. Clampett lost a whole host of spots here. He lost like 5, I think. Unless the thing is still updating. Oh no, nope, nope, it didn't. He did lose 1 spot to Basin though. So Basin will have the control for the restart.
Dominic, who did stay out, now works himself on the pit road. So this will give Basin the lead off of a 2-tire gamble. In my opinion, that's a bad one. Cause
I don't know.
Either way, you're gonna get swamped from either side. I mean, I think Basin wants to elect the high side and maybe stall out Clampett. But Clampett's going to have a huge shot in the 1 to get by him on the inside. As well as, if you pick the inside, same thing. You're giving it a huge opportunity to fling it on the high side and pass him through. And 2 tires this deep into the run, I don't think it's just going to... It's going to work. And now, with 20 laps to go, I think it's iSCAR time.
Oh boy.
Yep.
I mean, this could pay off, though. I mean, he could get swamped. It could also, at this point in the race, we could get a couple cautions that bring us into green-white checker territory. I mean, this could go either way. So, Basin, Clampett, Diallo, Miller, Gardner, Weil, Poindexter, Schmidt, Grindle, and Burgee are top 10 here for the restart. About half of those being chasers. So now it's crunch time. Who will come out on top here at Bristol? Just 20 to go at the line.
Dylan elects on with 2. We'll see if Miller could get a good enough start to get by Clampett. It seems as though he's in the quarter panel of him. And through the corner, it seems as though Clampett will slot himself to the high side. Miller trying to cross him over, trying to the inside. Can't complete it, though.
Yeah, and I don't know how long Basin will be able to hold off on those 2 tires since, of course, 2 are much, much older. But Clampett's going to definitely have the first crack at him, and already trying to make a move to the bottom side of that 08 as Diallo makes the move on Miller. He turns it into 3. Miller holds on, but he hits the outside wall, and now he goes around. Gardner gets collected.
Right,
Big wreck in turn 4. Multiple chasers picking up damage, and Grindle also gets collected, and Nick Miller goes from the top 5 to damage now to the top 15.
Did I mention it was iSCAR time?
Yeah, you did. You most certainly did. And that is big or bad news for Nick Miller, as he got a tap from Diallo that sent him spinning. And now in a big points hole, at least for the time being.
Yeah, Diallo was just too close to Miller into the corner and...
Tried to hold on, but couldn't quite do it.
Yeah, just worked himself underside. I think Miller was also trying to turn down at the same time, and nowhere for Schmidt to go.
Nowhere for Grindle to go. Sheen gets a piece of this.
As well as Brody.
And Schmidt got a tiny piece of that with Miller, but he escaped most of it. Gardner gets tagged as well in this.
Miller had it saved, but...
Thankfully for Brody didn't hit the pit barrels, as Poindexter got a piece of Brody as well, so that's another chaser suffering damage in this wreck. But now it's a couple less green flag laps that Basin has to hold off Clampett and the rest of them, so those 2 older tires get a bit of a break here.
Oh my.
And now Hunter back in the top 10 already after just spinning on the previous caution. See if the 23 gets an EOL for that incident or not.
I don't know. That's just... It's too hard to call, but... I don't know what the admins are going to say about that one. In the meantime with that, Basin was able to hold off Clampett with 2 tires, so... And with the caution playing out to his... The caution is playing out to his advantage as well, so...
Yeah, I think there was some netcode with that that incident too, because even though Diallo got the nose there, if you saw the way the 95 kind of hopped when it started to spin, I think netcode definitely played a factor in there. So with that in mind, I don't know if that 23 will receive anything further for the yellow. So it looks like he'll stay himself in P3 for now. See what line Basin elects this time. He chose the outside for the previous restart, and I'd imagine he'll probably do the same again. But this time, if he does, he'll have Diallo behind him versus Nick.
Yeah, I think with Diallo and that number 23 going to be in second spot, I mean... Basin's going to have to elect the right way. Do you want to drag the 23 forward off the restart, or do you want to drag the 41 in forward from the restart? If I were the number 08 at Basin, if I weren't really paying attention to the broadcast, or like the race or in your relative... Weil has been the slower car out of those 2 drivers, so I would be electing the high side to drag Weil forward to get him side by side with that number 23, so they could duke it out. And there you go. He elects the high side, and
yeah, now SPM is 1, 2, 3 up high, so definitely makes sense there from a teammate standpoint. So we'll see how this all pans out, but it's gonna be 12 to go at the line. And we'll see if Basin can try to hold on that 2-tire call.
We'll just have to see. In the meantime of that, for Basin, non-chaser. Clampett also a non-chaser. And that number 23 of Diallo, a non-chaser. Green flag. Basin hits the throttle. Will Weil get a good enough start to get to the outside of Clampett? No. Clampett cuts him off into the 1. And what will Clampett do to the backside of Basin? He's there!
Oh. Wow, he wasted no time at all. And he'll already have a move here on the bottom into turn 3. That was an absolute rocket ship move by Clampett there into turn 1. And he'll have another shot here to try to get around him. 11 laps to go here at Bristol. The Basin's hanging on for now up high, but I don't know how long he can maintain that for.
I don't know either. Those 2 tires are definitely going to start wearing, but how much will Clampett wear trying to get by this number 08? We'll just have to see, but the gap closes again.
Weil to third as well. He got by Diallo.
And Weil's going to be jammed up with Diallo, and Diallo now scoots under for this 3rd spot.
Good move there for the 23, trying to take that 3rd spot back from the man who led points for a good chunk of this season. It looks like Alec Daffin off the pace there in the 47. He'll get out of harm's way. 8 laps to go this time by at Daytona. Oh my God. Bristol. We're at Bristol. We are not at Daytona. And Clampett is back to Basin's bumper once again, trying to get that lead away. But the caution is out. And that is a huge break for Basin as Cole Williams, one of our chasers, goes around here on the backstretch.
Oh, man. Basin might be able to... I mean, based off of that run, I think Basin has a viable shot, especially with the caution coming out right now. I think he might be able to steal this one away from Clampett, but we'll just have to see.
Well, the caution made it a lot easier, and it looks like there was a stack up there out of 4 involving Patterson spun ahead of this, too. Him and Hunter Johnson made contact into 1. So the stack up with Brody. There goes the 42, and the O2 ends up collecting himself and Hunter.
Basin might steal this one away from Clampett. I mean, as I said, that run right there proved that he could do something off of that, off of those 2 tires, and we've seen him pull 2-tire gambles. It worked for him at Iowa. Of course, it nearly got thrown away after hitting the wall, but we've seen what he's capable of.
And again, for him to try to take this one away from Clampett, that caution made it a whole lot easier because now Clampett's going to have We'll see. We'll see if the lights go off this time or not. But if they do, then there'll be 3 to go at the line as Brody pulls off on the apron. I'm not sure what the deal there is. I don't know if we just received an EOL penalty or not. But if the pace lights don't go off, then that means they're going to have a 2 to go regulation restart. And they do not. So there we go. This is going to be a 2 to go regulation restart, which means if they wreck before the white flag, that'll put us into green-white checker territory. So that means Clampett is going to have, at the most, 2 laps to try to get by that 08. And I don't know if he can do it in only 2 laps. But if there's anybody in this entire field that can make it work, it's Logan Clampett.
I mean, Dylan was able to fend off more than 2 laps during those last 2 previous runs. But that was without contact. What will Clampett do to get rid of the 08 for this top spot? And if they do tangle together, what can Omar Diallo and Christopher Weil do to get themselves through? And look at this top 5. It's Poindexter now inside out of nowhere. And Schmidt seems as though he's able to survive in. Oh boy. Here we go. Hold your breath for 2 laps. Regulation restart. Take the green on 199. And it's all up to Dylan Basin to lead this field to the green.
Can he do it?
Clampett laying back the restart, trying to time it well. Once the pace car is in, all bets are off. Green flag is out. Clampett got a better one.
He got a really good start that time. He's got a decent shot as he files in up high.
Bump and run!
Clampett puts the 08 in the wall and he takes the lead. And here comes Diallo looking for second place. And a well-timed bump and run there for Clampett puts him into the lead, coming to the white flag.
What a move there! White flag gets time by, and Basin's now slotted himself in a second as he dukes it out with a 23. I don't think the 08 of Basin's gonna have a shot at Clampett through the center of the corner to try to bump and ruppin. It's all over for that 08 of Basin. Trouble right behind.
Diallo, wild hard in the wall. But Clampett holds on, and he will win here at Bristol. And a great timed move there by the 97. One of the best here to do it in iSCAR. A well-timed bump and run nets him a victory here tonight, here at the last great Coliseum. Job well done.
Wow. That's short track racing. That is a perfectly timed bump and run. No, that was perfectly executed by that number 97 of Clampett. What a move.
And he'll burn it down here on the front stretch. I'm sure Basin may not be too happy about that, but as they say, rubbin's racing sometimes, and for Logan Clampett, he scores the win here tonight. That 2-tire call did not end up working out for Basin, but he did finish in second place, so not all's that bad. Logan Clampett, your winner here tonight as we go over unofficial results. Dylan Basin just comes up short there in second. William Schmidt, what a run for him. He ends up at the highest finishing chaser here tonight in third. Christopher Weil in fourth despite that last lap contact. Omar Diallo in fifth. Nice runs for Poindexter and Burgee. And rounding out your top 10, Brody Gardner, Liam Sheen, and Malachi Drake.
It's Hunter Johnson. After that speeding penalty, he couldn't recover. He's all the way back in 11th spot. Corey Long, Henry Tabor, Nick Miller, Cole Williams round out the top 15. Garrett Hess, Josh Patterson, Harry Grindle, Dominic Howe, and Aaron Brown round out the top 20.
Alec Daffin, Mitch Hobbs, Ryan Kendrick after that early race incident ends up 23rd. Sertaj Mon, Paul Granada, Brayson Collins, Ethan Harrison, Henry Clappert, and Matthew McDonald. And Hunter Rupp in the 61 did not start tonight's event, and I think one other car didn't as well. There's a couple more people back here. Yeah, and Jeremiah Bethune also did not start, so that's your results here for tonight's race. The show is not quite over yet, though. We'll be right back here in a couple moments with some post-race interviews. You're definitely going to want to stick around for those, and we'll be back here in just a couple of moments.
is rolling out for the start of today's 400 lap race on this .625-mile racetrack. And just as the field comes all around turn number 4, the sunshine peeks through, helping warm things here. Bill Elliott leads him down. Benny Parsons on the outside. The green flag flies, and the first Union 400 Winston Cup race from North Wilkesboro is underway. Everybody nicely through turns number 1 and 2 as Bill Elliott has the lead, and Dale Earnhardt has jumped into second position, followed by Benny Parsons and Bobby Allison. Oh, here we go. It's just about to go away. They bump coming out of turn 4. Earnhardt gets the lead. We had just heard from our spotters that Neil Blythe. Dale Earnhardt is on his last lap. This will be his 24th career win. Dale Earnhardt wins the first Union 400 in North Wilkesboro.
And we welcome everybody back here live for tonight's iSCAR DeNise Design Series event. Congratulations to Logan Clampett in that number 97 after pulling a phenomenal bump and run there with 2 laps to go over the 08 of Dylan Basin to move him for the win. And that's all it took for that number 97 to pull it out here victorious for, I think, his second win of the season. And man, what a way to do it, especially at a track like Bristol. But before we do that, Dewey, any last any comments you want to say about it here tonight?
I gotta say, compared to the truck race and the cup race earlier this season, that was actually a really fun race to watch. It was a pretty clean race overall, a lot of good battles throughout the field, and we finally had a classic Bristol bump and run. It ended up being for the race win. So good job at Logan Clampett. And speaking of him, he's in the waiting room, so we'll drag him up here and see what he's got to say about his win here tonight.
And into the booth he goes, and that number 97, Logan Clampett, pulling the bump and run with 2 to go on that number 08 of Dylan Basin. Man, that was well executed with 2 laps to go. Of course, very little time to pull yourself forward, and you executed it perfectly here tonight at Bristol. Just walk me through that whole entire last stint. Of course, Basin taking on 2 tires and that last exchange of pit stops.
Well, I wasn't expecting 2 tires to work so well, but I guess he had so much more center turn on the 2 tires that made him looser, so he could turn a lot better. So that was a little bit of a struggle. I could get side by side with him a couple times that I could get to him, but I could never complete the pass. It's really hard to pass on fresh tires, especially since some people can't save their tires and just have the all worn out tires. So it was really hard to pass at the beginning of the run. So sitting back and kind of saving tires. I remember there's this one really long run where I just rode the bottom the whole time. I kind of drove it in a little bit deeper, hit the brakes in the center, and then drove it on out. And I guess that was the way to save tires. And it really benefited me to staying up there that last run before the caution. But that was probably my best bump and run I've ever done, especially here at this track. It's really hard to do a perfect bump and run. I want to say I didn't really mean to do that. I meant to just kind of get close to him and get under him off the corner, but I guess it all worked out. So that was it was really satisfying. It was cool. I don't think I'll ever be able to pull that off again ever, even at something like Martinsville or Bristol, but I guess that's as clean as a bump and run is getting it.
Yep, that's right. Again, textbook bump and run there with 2 laps to go. And you mentioned about how to save your tires here around Bristol. It seems like both lines were working up against the wall and, of course, down low near the apron. So just walk me through on how the track progressed as it rubbered in.
Well, I mean, dynamic track doesn't really work. So I think just because the bottom with this tire model, it's so sensitive that the bottom line, especially in this car, is probably better. Like I said, I was driving it in deeper, parking center, and then driving it out of the corner and not coming up right next to the wall off the corner, and then kind of entering a little bit lower. And I guess that's kind of just how you save your tires here. Because the first run, I ran the top with Nick and Hunter. I'd never touched the bottom, and they were starting to pull away from me. And then before Hunter got speeding, I kind of fell back behind Omar and ran the bottom, parked center, like I was doing kind of that last run. And I was catching Hunter about half a tenth to a tenth a lap until the caution came out, and then he got speeding on pit road. So it's this car and this tire model, it's definitely tricky to save tires at almost every track. You have to race or do a few runs, 2 runs to really get sense of how to save tires, but I guess that's what it's all about.
Yup, and that's right. You led 60 laps to your victory here tonight after starting yourself all the way back in 16th place. Congratulations, bud, for your second ever iSCAR victory this season. But before we let you go, any sponsors you want to thank here for tonight?
Well, we haven't announced our sponsor yet for William Byron Esports, but I'll just give a shout out to them, I suppose. It's cool to be on the team now. It's actually really awesome, and I can't wait to get the season started. Actually, the shootout is tomorrow night at 9 Eastern, so that'll be interesting. Kind of a IROC sort of type event. It's going to be fixed setup. So we'll see what goes on during all that, but I think we all know that the main race to pay attention to is going to be next Monday at the season opener at Daytona.
All right, bud. So good luck to you during your 2021 events, and of course, congratulations on the big win here for tonight at Bristol. Logan Clampett in the number 97 rounds himself out in victory lane. We'll go ahead and see you coming to the next race, bud.
Thank you.
Let's get ourselves back 1 position to the man who is leading until the white flag.
Yeah, Dylan, got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Man, that 2-tire call at the end almost worked, but he got bump and ran with 2 laps to go by Logan Clampett. He came up just short there. You think you could have had him, maybe there were a couple more laps to try to get by him, or you think once he got by you, there was no hope at all for winning?
There was no hope at all. I mean, that was probably the funnest racing I've had in this league, or any time in iRacing I've had in a long time. And that bumper and run was just so clean. I was more amazed at how he pulled it off so well, and then rather than being mad that I finished second. But yeah, if he passed me, I don't think I was ever going to run him back unless I did the same thing to him, but I don't think I could even execute it as good as him.
Well, you still have had a really solid season overall. You almost got your 4th Xfinity win of the season tonight, even though you're not in the chase. And even though you're not in the chase, I mean, do you still plan on showing up to have all these races? Because every time you show up, it's a great show out there, and you proved that for sure tonight.
Well, I'm going to show up because I have nothing else to do right now, but I feel like I have the chance to dominate the rest of the season if I really put my mind to it. So I'm going to show up every race.
Well, you came pretty close tonight, and you've, of course, broken through multiple times this season, so we'll see how that goes. But before I let you go tonight, any sponsors or people you want to thank here for the runner-up finish?
Yeah, just SPM Racing and Basin Racing for working with me tonight.
All right, short and sweet, I guess. Still in Basin, runner-up here tonight here at Bristol. Hope to see you back here for the rest of the season.
All right, thank you.
And we'll scoot ourselves back one position to our highest chase finisher, William Schmidt. And the number 79 rounds himself out in 3rd. Started all the way back in 21st place. And luckily for him, a great run to kick off the playoffs here tonight. Schmidt, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Schmidt, congratulations on your 3rd place run. We saw you running inside this top 5, actually inside this top 3 momentarily. You were going there with Hunter Johnson and stuff like that. And it seems as though that car was on rails. And it seems as though you start to fall off there in the longer run, but regardless, a very, very nice way to kick off the chase here tonight at Bristol.
Thank you.
Of course, how did your race go overall? Fell outside the top 5 and got stuck back in traffic, and you were just about, I'd say, not really, yeah, just about up and down with inside the top 10. Just walk me through all that.
Yeah, in the first part of the race, we were, like, as you said, we were flying. Then the tires kicked in and got all old, and we started falling back pretty heavily. Then we had about, I'd say, caution about every 40 laps or so, and that honestly was, like, my saving grace for the most part, because I just kind of thought to myself, like, okay, if we could just have a caution every, 40 to 60 laps, I think it would be pretty good for me to stay up there. And for the most part, we got that, and yeah, we fell back a little bit momentarily because we overshot the pit stall and stalled it trying to reverse. But yeah, I came back to 3rd, and overall was a pretty decent race for us.
Yep, that's right, and of course the highest chase car out of everybody in this field, so it has to feel good coming into next week. I think at one of the bigger racetracks. Yeah, we're gonna be doing a race at Charlotte coming next week. So where are you looking forward to secure yourself inside this top 10?
Just try not to die at Charlotte. I'm not a huge fan of Charlotte. I'm horrible at it. So as long as I can just not die and stay ahead of everybody else, I'm pretty sure I'll be all right.
All right, about 10-4. William Schmidt rounds himself out in 3rd place. But before I let you go, I just want to thank you for tonight.
Yeah, of course, I want to thank Sire Drafting Productions for sticking with me. And yeah, that's about it.
All right, about 10-4, William Schmidt, and that number 79 rounds himself out in 3rd after starting himself all the way back in 21st. We'll go ahead and see you coming to your next race, bud, and good luck coming to the closer run this 13-car chase.
All right, thank you.
That was William Schmidt and the number 79, and that will be it here with interviews. Congratulations to that number 97, to Logan Clampett, who, as I said, probably the cleanest bumper run I have ever seen on iRacing. That was really impressive.
And again, he definitely knows his way around Bristol and everywhere else. And again, another congrats to him on his win, and good luck for him in the Coke Series this season with his new team. So we're excited to see how that all turns out for him. In the meantime, we've got a fresh slate of races coming up for you here this week. The Super Late Model Series will be back on Wednesday after a 1-week absence. They'll be at Thompson on Wednesday, and that'll certainly be an interesting one. And now the round 1 cutoffs for the chase are this week. The Truck Series will go to Kansas on Friday. Cup Series will go to Las Vegas on Saturday. And next Sunday night here for the Xfinity Series will be at Charlotte, just as William mentioned. So be sure to stick around and stay tuned for those as we determine who will make it to the round of 10 in each series and who will be the 3 that go home early. Thank you once again for tuning in here for tonight's race. Hope you enjoyed the broadcast. And as always, for Ezeckiel Reyes, I am Dewey Schramm. Thanks for watching.